Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyze the astrological charts of public figures. Very often they are celebrities, or they're royals, or they're politicians, but today I will be looking at the astrological chart of a convicted criminal, and that is the younger of the two Menendez brothers, Erik. I've already put out a reading for the older brother Lyle. That is out by the time this is out. That will be out also. And I did that reading semi-blind. That was a few hours ago. And in that time I exercised and I also ate. And while I did the eating, I was watching the interview with Barbara Walters, the first 12-15 minutes of the Barbara Walters interview with the brothers in prison. And I also watched a 5-minute video that was just uploaded today on YouTube. Good Morning America has just released some of the audio of Erik talking about the trial. So since the Lyle reading to this reading, I have been a bit more informed. And when I listened to these audio tapes and watched the interview with the Menendez brothers with Barbara Walters, it really confirmed what I already had analyzed or saw in the charts of these boys. So yeah, very interesting. I just wanted you to know that this readings are going to be a little bit more informed. So yeah, before we dive in, I just want you guys to know I have 15-minute recorded readings for transits, full chart readings, synastry. Otherwise, I have 5-minute focused analysis readings for like really specific things. So if you'd like to support me, you'd like a reading, you like what I do, you can purchase a reading there. And it's just, yeah, recording of my voice, tearing up your chart, answering your questions, and it's sent to you via email. Another way to support me is that you can join my members. It has only one tier. I'm still working out the kinks. I ask you guys what you would like to see. I'm currently working on my North Node series. I've already done North Node in Cancer and 4th house. That's in there. And I'm working on another video now. But yeah, lots to come in there. So if you'd like to help me out, if you'd like to support my little business, that's the best way to do it. So buy a reading or members. Also, I'll be doing a sale on one-on-one readings. Members get a pretty significant discount, and they will be offered discounted face-to-face readings when I put on that sale. So yeah, if you'd like to have a discounted face-to-face reading, you can join my members. That'll be for like December, New Year, like Christmas time, New Year time. People love their readings during that period. Fresh start. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Brought to you by my sponsor, me. Okay, so let's have a look at Erik Menendez's chart. He is a Virgo rising and a sun in Sagittarius and a moon in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio, Mars in Libra, and his Mercury is also in Scorpio. So he's a much more sensitive person than his brother. The difference between Lyle and Erik is that Lyle is a lot more confident and cunning. Okay? Lyle was 1000% abused by his father. And that I totally believe him. Like his Mars Pisces placement that was so horribly aspected definitely indicates that he was his sexuality was used against him. That's what I'll say. I'm putting it very politely. But Lyle is also much better at presenting himself. He's just he looks better. He looks like the nicer of the two, when really Erik is the nicer of the two brothers. I guess it's that midheaven, because Lyle has his sun and Mercury on the midheaven. He's much better at expressing himself. Not this one. Erik, yeah, Lyle is the better communicator. Erik is not. And that's probably why he looks worse, because out of the two brothers, he looks more menacing, but he's actually the nicer of both of them, the nicer of the two. Now, with his sun and Neptune in the fourth house, so he's definitely the more sacrificed child. He's the weakest in the family. So he was the most abused in the family. You know, if his father was just always, father was a pervert. He was always sharpening that sword. And when you sharpen a sword, it gets more blunt. And then you get addicted to sharpening it again. There was no satisfying him, satiating him. Like he just kept sharpening that sword. And where did he sharpen that sword? On his children. So with this, the house is flooded. There's no stability in the family. And that's what I say when I have people that book a reading with me. If they have Neptune in the fourth house, I refer to the house as flooded. The house is flooded. And this can play out as having experiences of like extreme poverty. Like literally, there are quite a few people that experienced Hurricane Katrina, have come to me and they've got Neptune in the fourth, like literally a flood, like just water rising. It can also be the experience of homelessness. If not, it could be drugs, violence, like a sacrificed mother, a sacrificed child. Like Neptune is not a fun planet to have in your fourth house. If you can get some therapy, healing, and mature through it, it can be a really beautiful placement. But more often than not, Neptune in the fourth, that's like a dysfunctional family, and that's me being polite there. With the recordings that came out that I just listened to a few hours ago, Erik was talking about how he was watching Lyle on the stand. He was giving testimony. He was saying things on the stand, and he apologized. Lyle apologized to Erik for molesting him. He said, so it wasn't just the father that was molesting Erik, it was Lyle. And now we could hold that against Lyle, but you got to remember Lyle was a molested child, so he was forced to take part in something. This is dark ritualistic behavior. The youngest child knows everyone's secrets. Look at all the Scorpio placements as well. There are things that he will never repeat, that he will never say. He's got a key to Pandora's box, But yeah, I think with that Neptune on the IC, he saw some ritualistic evil stuff. And he was victim to that ritualistic evil stuff. That's what I'll say. Erik is the more spiritual of the two. I think he harbors the most guilt. Lyle, even though Lyle did abuse him, we know that. I listened to that tape myself today. Erik also knows that Lyle was the only person who ever tried to protect him. Lyle did try to protect his brother, but at the same time, he participated in the abuse of his brother. And I think that's why Lyle is the one that's going to take the fall out of the two. If we've got to pick a brother that we're going to free, it's going to be Erik. And I say that because his North Node is in the 6th house. His brother's North Node's in the 12th house. That's forever imprisoned. And Lyle was the one that was the ringleader. Erik was an accessory or a tag-along, or he assisted in it. He's definitely guilty, but not as guilty as Lyle. I'll give it to Lyle, though. He stands up here and he says, I did that shit. And that's a very Aries kind of energy. Like Aries will do some heinous shit. And then when they're confronted and there's no room to run, I did that shit. I fucking, because I'm an Aries, and very often when I do heinous shit, or I do mean things, or I just do things that people don't like, they'll often confront me and they'll be like, aren't you ashamed of yourself? You did this. And I'm like, yeah, I did this and I do it again. I did that shit. That's Aries. That's that Aries North Node in the 12th. And like I said, Lyle is going to pay for his own sins, and also the sins of the father, because he committed the sins of the father. He also hurt Erik. Erik is the most innocent. He's not totally innocent, but he's the most innocent in this Menendez family. In this, that's why I think if they get freed, Erik might be freed first. Erik isn't as guilty. That's what I'm trying to say. And he's also the one that has the most guilt. In the tapes, you'll also hear Erik say, the only person that has ever tried to protect me was Lyle. And he went to Lyle, and he takes the blame for Lyle being arrested. I think Lyle was arrested first. I think so. But Erik takes responsibility for his brother being arrested, because Erik was the one that went to Lyle and asked for help, because he was I guess still being abused by his dad. So yeah, he's got guilt. He's got guilt for things that he really shouldn't have guilt over. He has guilt because his brother got arrested first, because he went to his brother and asked for help. He went to his brother who had also molested him for help. It's so messy. It's so messy, but it's a very complex relationship. As you can see, like, he's got Mercury at 22 degrees, like kill or be killed. Like, there's a very extreme relationship with the siblings. I haven't watched the Netflix film, but I heard, based on reviews, that it's presented as almost like a homoerotic relationship. And I thought, oh, that's disgusting. Is that even accurate? Yes and no. If Lyle was molesting Erik, then there's an implication of sexual stuff there, but that's only because of the abuse. I don't think Lyle went in there with a kink for his brother. I think that the father was just abusing both of them, and that's what happens to children. Monkey see, monkey do. They just repeat the things that they're taught. So, it's so hard doing this reading, because I have to be so careful about what I say. But yeah, it is very messy. Mercury represents siblings, because it governs the third house. It is squared Pluto, an extreme relationship with the siblings, a very complex relationship with the siblings. Also mental health things. If you look at generational planets like Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, if they're squared your Mercury, you're placed in situations that you cannot control, which create like brain damage or like mental health issues. So yes, squares, oppositions to the Mercury, mental health issues, also really extreme, difficult relationships with the siblings, and that is very present in this chart. So Pluto in the second house, very extreme relationship with money. So Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, right? So if you have Pluto in the second, sometimes you start out really poor and then you just gain a lot of money. Maybe someone dies. In this case, someone died and that you get a lot of money, or maybe you like win the lottery or something like that. But a very extreme relationship with money. You have nothing, you gain a lot. You have a lot, you lose it all. And then maybe you experience wealth again. Like, money is very extreme in this chart. That Pluto in the second is very extreme. And he felt guilt over it. He got all that money. I think it was Erik that was the first brother to admit it to his therapist. That Pluto square Mercury, man, he really suffered. He really, like, emotionally and mentally suffered getting that payout, like killing his parents and getting that payout. Like, he really felt guilty over it. Also keep in mind, Neptune and the moon are also lying in a conjunction here. So there is the sacrifice of the mother. Indeed, that happened. The mother, was she involved in the abuse? I think she turned a blind eye. I mean, I don't know if she participated, but she turned a blind eye. There were probably signs all around her, but she didn't want to believe it because she was just a weak Libra bitch who liked living in Beverly Hills and having nice things around her, and was willing to turn a blind eye to her sons being abused. some people just shouldn't have children. Some people just shouldn't breed, actually. Like, just thirsty ass parents. I'm sorry. Like, I was a middle school teacher for years, and I do not forgive people for hurting children or enabling other people to hurt their children. I just don't have any sympathy for her. She was a weak bitch that loved pretty things and wanted to keep the status quo. Fuck that. No. But in the chart, the mother does suffer and the mother is sacrificed, and that's exactly what happened. In terms of career, which I know he doesn't have, midheaven in Gemini. Career as a criminal. Like, his Gemini Mercury, like, governs, like, thieves. Which they did do. I think they did petty theft or whatever when they were like when they were acting up, when they were naughty, like they were stealing things. I talked about that in the previous reading. But if he were not a criminal, because there are lots of people that have similar charts that are not criminals, midheaven in Gemini is someone that has probably many different jobs throughout their life. You know, they don't necessarily have to have a career, depending on where their Mercury is. And his Mercury is at the is at the bottom of his chart in his 4th house, so he could work from home. He should have a job where he works from home, or any kind of job that requires communication from the home. Like I have a similar kind of placement, Mercurial midheaven with Mercury in the 4th house. So eventually, if he was to leave prison, he would probably work from home. He might write a book and make money from that. Like, writing a book is the most literal translation of this placement. Writing and teaching from home, giving out information from home, right? Working in an intimate area, like home. So we'll see how this plays out. I do think with this North Node in the 6th house, and his North Node nodal return is on its way. Currently the North Node is in Aries. His brother, because his North Node is in Aries, Lyle's going through his nodal return, and his nodal return is in the 12th house. That's why I think he might be staying in prison. I don't know if he'll be the brother that's let out, because that just screams prison. Like I said, he will pay for his own sins and the sins of his father. He's the eldest child. He carries the most karma of both of the parents. He will be punished for all of their sins. The younger one, while he receives the most abuse, he will be the one likely to see freedom with this North Node, because his North Node's in the 6th house. And that's like, listen, if you go through a lot of trauma in your life, like this boy did, because his South Node is in the 12th house. And the rulers of this 12th house, which is the Sun and Neptune, are at the bottom of his chart, abused in the home. No boundaries in the home. He's got to learn boundaries. Where is Uranus? Where is Uranus? Oh, Uranus and Saturn. So Uranus is in the 2nd. It plays into the 3rd. And then Saturn is up here in the 9th. I think Erik might get out of jail. I don't think the older one will. I think the younger one will. Because the younger one is less guilty and he feels the most bad about it. That's why. That's what I think. And you know what? I'm open to being wrong. They might both stay in prison for the rest of their lives. But if they change can they change a conviction without having a trial? I don't know the laws. I don't know any of the jargons or the laws or the anythings about American prison systems. I don't know. But this one, out of the two, he looks like he's going to be free. And he's going to tell his story, and he might be able to make a living out of it. I don't know if prisoners are I feel like people are allowed to have jobs when they get out of prison if they've done their time. I feel like he could get out of that. Currently, that Chiron in the 8th house has the North Node tickling it. I think the North Node is exactly 5 or 6 degrees, so it's really sitting on that Chiron, which is exposing all of his wounds around his masculinity, sex wounds. Those things are all that it's really pressing on there. So these tapes are coming around at a really, it's very poignant time. Like to have this North Node sitting on that Chiron, and then these tapes being released today. interesting. And he is, of course, going through his Chiron return, like everybody else who was born in late 60s and 70s with that Chiron. They're having a tough time, very wounded. The men born, the Gen X boys, they're having a rough time, having a very rough time. The women do a little bit better because a Chiron in Aries is a wound of masculinity. So, hey, and the South Node moving through here is a release of control, which is obviously, like, that's not the worst placement. That's not the worst transit. He's already in prison. He's got no control. His whole life is being controlled for him at the moment. It's a lot less hellish than the hell that he grew up in. That's for sure. At least there's, like, things are regimented, and he's in a lot of ways prison is a much more, like, harmonious, healthy environment than his household. So, but yeah, I do think he'll get out. I think he might be freed out of the two. Because if they look at the case again, which looks likely based on what I've seen in the news, if they look at the case and they look at the two brothers individually, and I've only seen like a few hours of like footage and documentaries, I can see that he is the one that out of the two deserves to be let out more. I think they both should be, but remember that older one, Lyle, his destiny is to pay because he's the oldest child. So in a way, now he's the sacrificed one, and this one, Erik, will likely see freedom out of the two. We'll see what happens. He might never be let go, but my money's on this one. But yeah, definitely the gentler of the two brothers. Was he the one that got married? I can't remember which one got married. But this one is more connected to God. This one, he's not at all money motivated. His motivation for killing the parents was revenge as well. Like revenge, sadness. Didn't know what else to do. He was just despondent, and he's got this big older brother who is much more forceful and confident, who understood his plight. And he leaned on his older brother for help, and the older brother led him to war. Let me know if you'd like me to do a synastry with these two. Would you like me to do a synastry? I've actually made it, but let me know if you want to see it. Because yeah, they have a really interesting relationship. Oh, Erik. So much Scorpio. Oh. Very Neptune, Scorpio. It's just like lamb to the slaughter shit. And a Mars in Libra, he just wanted to cooperate. I'm going to do this so he doesn't beat me. I'm going to do this. If I cooperate, it's going to hurt less. It's going to hurt less if I just cooperate. Lyle fought. Lyle tried to fight it off. A Mars in Pisces is going to go crazy. A Mars in Libra, I mean, they can go crazy, but they will try to cooperate for as long as possible. They will go along with things. Anyway. Yeah, that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you in the next video. In the comments, let me know if you'd like to see a chart for their parents, or a synastry chart for the brothers. Just let me know in the comments, and thank you so much. And remember, I've got those MP3 readings, YouTube members. Please like, subscribe, comment, help me with the algorithm. Love you all. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.